Alright, welcome along, and this is the Photoshop version of the tutorial to show you how to explore your ideas, the new photo shoot that you've done based on your chosen artists, and how to explore colour schemes. Okay, so I'm going to start off with my Soul Leader image here. I've just dragged and dropped this from my folder where my photographs are saved. If you're working from the internet, you know how to do this by now. You just copy and paste using Ctrl and C and Ctrl and V. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure I'm on the right layer that I'm working on this one. I'm going to go to image, I'm going to go to adjustments, and then you can see you've got a whole range of tools here that will help you change the colours and refine your images. So these top ones are basically all about your light and dark, so it's where you make things look lighter and where you make things look darker. But the ones that we're going to use here, we're going to use channel mixer, we're going to use colour balance, and we're going to use hue and saturation. So the first one I'm going to use hue and saturation. It's a little bit different to photo here in that it gives you a little bit of a bar to show you what it's doing to your image. So your hue obviously changes the colour scale itself, so it turns it from the yellowy orangey red that I had to a sort of blue, green, purple, that sort of thing. But I want that setting back at 0, so I'm just typing 0 in the box, or you can slide it along. Saturation is something that I do want to change. I do want to turn my saturation up, and you can see there turning my saturation up has made that look stronger, and again it does still give me a light and a dark control there, but I'm going to leave that at 0. Okay, and that set my hue and saturation. On there, sorry, I did click return, which set it all for me, but on there you've got these controls where you can change it to different types of settings. Again, don't worry about it, just have a little play around with it, see what it does to your work. If you like it, click OK. If you don't, just click cancel and it takes you away. Okay, so that is hue and saturation. Other ones that you've got your colour balance, which does a similar thing but in a slightly different way. So you can see we can turn the colours down, and you can see how it still does different things, turning it from sort of the yellowy orange to different colours, but you can see how it still looks slightly different. And again, here you've got different controls that you can control on, so you can do your shading, your shadowed areas, you can do your midtones, you could do your highlights, and you could do them all differently. Okay, so again it's just about playing around with the controls, clicking the different things, sliding things up and down and seeing what effects you can get. If you like it, click OK. If you don't, click cancel. It's not a problem. Last one I'm going to show you back on image and adjustments is this called the channel mixer, which again does a similar thing but in a different way, and it creates a different sort of effect, and I think this makes a really nice sort of Soul Leader effect as well, this one. So again, you can just slide the bars up and down to create different effects, but you can see there how I'm saying that looks sort of very Soul Leader like to me. And again, you've got a little slider down here to change the intensity of the effects as well, and you've got your different channels that you can choose to have a little play around with. Okay, so again, if you like it, click OK. If you don't, click cancel, and it just changes your picture back to normal. Once you have got a colour sample that you like, then what I would suggest you do is you just make your picture a lot smaller, pop it off to one side. You can get your picture again, drag and drop it back in, and then you can have another experiment with a different type of colour range, and you can have a little play around with any different ones of those, different variations of those that I've just showed you. And I expect you to do at least 3 or 4 different experiments based on colour, hue, saturation, colour balance, that sort of thing. Okay, the next little bit that I wanted to show you, which is why I've got a picture like this, and I am just going to zoom in for you to bring it up a little bit closer and make it a little bit clearer. My slide bar is hidden there, I'll pull it up a little bit. Is you can select an area to do that on, so rather than having the whole image selected and it affecting everything, you can affect just single sort of areas if you like. So I'm using my ellipse tool because obviously these lollipops are circular, not rectangular, so I'm just using it and using my little arrow buttons on my keyboard to select one lollipop. And then if I do the same thing and I go into image, and I go into adjustments and I go on to hue and saturation, and I click reds and I turn the saturation up for reds, you should see it start to get stronger. It's on preview, wonder why. On the wrong layer, that does not help, so I'll try again. Image, adjustments, hue and saturation, and then saturation, turn that up. There you go. Now that I've clicked on the right layer, you can see that makes more sense. Okay, so you can see it going red. I could turn the lightness down, I could make it a little bit darker, make it a little bit brighter if I wanted to, but I think that actually works okay. If I wanted to, I could completely change the colour, but again, I just wanted to make that red brighter, which I've been able to do. So when I come out, if I go to select and deselect, you can see now that still looks very realistic, still looks really like it should be there, but I've just intensified that colour. So I'm going to show you one last example of how I can edit these things. So I've got my yellow one here. So this is one where I would want to change the actual hue rather than just the saturation. I need to make my ellipse a bit bigger there because it hasn't really worked very well. Oh. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into image adjustments again, but this time I am actually going to change the hue because I want it to be like a really bright yellow. I don't want it to be the sort of dark dusty yellow that it is now, so I want it to be a really bright one. So you can see that I've turned it up there. You can see already done, and then again I'm just going to turn the saturation up and I'm going to turn the darkness down a little bit. Okay, and again when I go to select, deselect, you can see how it's completely changed the colour of that section. Okay, so like I say, I want at least 3 or 4 different colour schemes tried out for your favourite photographs from your shoot, and then once you've done that, we'll come back and we'll have a look at how to digitally edit and present some of them in some slightly different ways. Okay, off you go.